Let's face it, modern men are falling behind. Gen Z men are less likely to attend college or have stable employment than they would have even 10 years ago. And when it comes to long-term goals like marriage or home ownership, forget it. Why is this happening? I'm sure you've heard the theories. Porn, video games, shifting social roles, and while those might be part of the problem, they miss the full picture because they fail to account for the fundamental way the male brain is wired. But as someone who's been studying psychology for the past 2 years, I've started to notice something deeper going on. Something in the way we raise and educate our boys. And if we don't confront it, this crisis will only worsen the outlook of young men across the nation. Let's get into it. So, you can probably guess that we'll be talking about the education system, though probably not in the way that you would think. It doesn't begin with university-level education at all, no. In order to understand why the education system is failing men, we need to go all the way back to your first day of 6th grade. Imagine yourself on your first day of middle school, where you're probably excited to explore a new environment, make new friends, and learn new things that you could have never dreamed of learning in elementary school. So you go to your first period science class. But immediately, you notice that there's a lab rat in a cage, and you can't help but see the look of utter boredom and despair in the rat's eyes. The rat's cage has no toys, nothing for it to climb on, and only sparse mulch for it to sleep on. The only stimulation it ever gets is when students like you interact with it and experiment with how fast it can solve a maze in order for it to get food. But now I want to ask you, how truly different is your situation from that of this lab rat? As a middle school student, you're often asked to sit in boring classrooms through long lectures for hours at a time. You're stuck there for over half of your waking hours, and there really isn't a lot of unstructured physical activity in middle school like there is in elementary school. So you don't quite feel as free. Occasionally, the teacher might experiment on you by giving you a pop quiz or an interesting project, but that's about it. The problem we can start to see here is sitting around for hours at a time in a classroom is just not healthy for children, but especially it's not healthy for young boys. You might ask though, why is this system bad for boys specifically? Well, research has shown that young boys receive numerous emotional benefits from unstructured and sometimes rough play where they can easily make new friends and experiment with their physical strength. And it's even been found that unstructured physical activity, which doesn't include PE by the way, even makes these kids behave better when they do have to learn in class. The lack of unstructured exercise for young boys essentially makes them not much better off than that rat we mentioned earlier. And the way that these classes are structured, where rowdy behavior and moving around the classroom are usually discouraged, favors people whose brains are farther along in development and are more mature. Research has found that biologically female people start puberty on average about 2 years before biologically male people begin. And what this means is that boys are essentially being forced to learn 2 grades ahead of their female peers. Yet they are often held to similar behavioral standards that their female counterparts are. Combine that with the fact that 86% of teachers in schools are female, and you can clearly see that a lack of male role models combined with a system that favors compliance and obedience would be favorable to those who are further along in cognitive maturity. And this is all despite the patriarchal nature of the education system, funnily enough. That's right, because while there might not be many male teachers, there sure are a lot of men in senior administrative positions that mainly only exist to punish students, or they're completely invisible altogether. But despite this, the girls are still the ones who are overwhelmingly succeeding, which is shown easily by the much higher rates of college graduation as compared to biological men. So there is still clear work to be done to address the inherent disadvantages that boys face in the classroom. To me, the solution is actually quite obvious. Implement more recess in middle school and high school. I know, it sounds goofy, it sounds childish. How would playing cops and robbers for 30 minutes a day increase the chances of boys being able to get a career later? To answer that, you have to understand that 75% of teens do not get 1 hour of exercise a day, which is the recommended amount by health scientists worldwide. And while I will acknowledge that the rise of the internet and increased screen time is a factor, another very important factor is that schools, particularly middle schools and high schools, fail to facilitate an environment that emphasizes unstructured free play among children. And this problem is far more fixable. But Max, we're talking about teens, right? We're not just talking about boys. Well, the problem for boys specifically that we can trace a lot of men's struggles to today is a documented drop in testosterone levels from 1970 to now, where today, the average 20-year-old male has the same testosterone levels that a 70-year-old had in 1970. And you know what? Two very effective ways to increase testosterone levels in young men are going outside and exercising. Yes, you heard me right. A secret cause of many male struggles today is a lack of middle school and high school recess. And for some reason, no one is talking about this. We're too focused on dating advice from TikTok pickup artists and brain rot LeBron edits.
My only sunshine, you make me happy when skies are gray.
To realize that the solution to our problems was not our glorious king, it was right outside our home the entire time. So my advice to you, if you are a man struggling with finance, education, or your love life, is to put down your fucking phone and go take a nature walk. Go to the gym, boost those endorphins, get that testosterone up, and get that natural dopamine from being in nature instead of scrolling through TikTok. Following this, once there are enough motivated men out there, we can actually start to tackle the education system through political reform and the power of our votes, infection tag style. So now you know how to better your own life despite the education system's failures. But you could still fail in your love life if you follow the wrong dating advice or do rash things to the people that you're interested in. Luckily for you, I have a recent video you can watch about analyzing alpha male dating advice against the findings of qualified dating psychologists so that you can separate the facts from the red pill fairy tales. I'll leave that video here for you to check out. So, if you enjoyed this video or that video, I encourage you to like and subscribe. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace!